All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the September 14th Cross Lake regular City Council meeting. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first we need to approve the additions to the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the following additions to the agenda. The number 18 additional bills for approval, resolution for the appointment of election judges to serve for the general election to be held November 3rd. The high-tech pay request for fire hall design in the amount of $10,000, and the high-tech pay request number 11 for City Hall Police Department in the amount of $37,724.31, and also under Park and Recreation, review estimates for the irrigation system.
Okay, we've got a motion and we got a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All in favor. Public forum. No action will be taken on any of the issues raised. If appropriate, the issue will be placed on the agenda of a future council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. Each speaker is given a 3-minute time limit. Does anybody have anything? Yes, come on up.
Jessica ID 38083, County Road 66. I was just wondering about the progress at South Bay Park, if there's talk of a dock so that people could access it from not only the water, but if people who lived off the lake wanted to go and say fish on the dock or something. I just didn't know where you guys are at with that and any progress that's been made.
So an
Just
update
curious.
on the South Bay Park.
Correct.
Yeah, TJ, come on up. Do that.
Me and the Parks Commission are currently working on a park management plan, which is what we need to take to the court for final approval to develop anything on that land. And the next step after the park management plan is complete, we move forward with a archaeological survey phase 1 archaeological survey. So we're in the process of working through the verbiage of that management plan, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and working with the commission along the way. After we're done with that, we will bring that to you for final approval.
So the last I heard, Mr. Schrupp and I had met with you and at the core. Has there been anything since then?
At the commission meetings, yes.
Okay.
Yep, just nothing here at the council level because we have not made a recommendation yet for that.
Okay, and has there been any talk about dockage or use or anything?
Within the commission, it's been suggested that we steer away from any docks as of right now. If anybody has anything to say, or they want to see a dock, I recommend them to come to the park commission meeting and your voice will be heard and the commission will then make a recommendation based off that or what they've been hearing and bring it to you guys.
Okay. But I don't believe Corinne had anything against dockage. She certainly didn't want to vote.
She didn't specifically say they're against it. She would just suggest maybe steering away from it just because it's a low-level recreation deemed site. So instead of having a lot of traffic coming from the lake, focus more on the interpretive trails and the picnic tables that we're suggesting that we may put in.
Okay. So just somebody's got to go to the Park and Rec meeting and see what's going on.
Sounds good. I'll talk to Corinne too.
All righty. Does anybody else have anything? Cindy?
I just have a couple of things to bring to your attention. On Thursday, September 24th, from 6 to 8 p.m., the Cross Lake Mayor and Council Candidate Forum will take place at the Cross Lake Community Center Gym. Due to COVID gathering restrictions, we are taking reservations for the public to attend that forum. They are encouraged to visit crosslake.com to reserve seats, and they will be reserved on a first-come, first-served basis. And because of that limited seating, we will be streaming that forum live and taking questions for both the audience that are present and questions through the live streaming venue. Wayne Holtmeyer of the League of Women Voters will moderate that forum, and Pat Netco of Lake Country Crafts and Cones will be the timer. Music General, I'm meeting with them tomorrow over at the Community Center in TJ, and we're gonna sound check and video check the facility to make sure it's in good working order, that you can hear it. Our Brainerd Lakes Chambers are partnering with the League of Women Voters and the Dispatch and area chambers to host all of the city and state races for our region. So if you are interested in other community forums or the state forums, you can visit BrainerdLakesChamber.com to get information on when those are and where they're taking place. And I just want to thank the candidates involved and the current city council for attending that forum, and thank you for serving the community of Cross Lake in that capacity. The second thing is just an update on Cross Lake Days. It's 10 days away, and it'll begin on Thursday the 24th with the hunt for the lost chili pepper. While we're not having a chili cook-off this year, we are having some fun activities planned. The first annual cornhole tournament organized by the Knights of Columbus will take place at Cross Lake Ace Hardware. Dan and Betty are celebrating 10 years of ownership at that store here in Cross Lake, so they're our platinum sponsor. For $50, you have a two-person team, and there are cash prizes for first, second, and third place. First place is actually $1,000. So all you bag throwers or cornhole players out there, crosslake.com is the site for all the information on that. The first annual pickleball tournament is being organized by TJ down at the community center. So that is going to be very popular on the new courts. That'll be a lot of fun. Cross Lake Communications is hosting their third electronic scavenger hunt. So they'll be sending people all over town using their mobile phone as a guide to find different things. Arts and crafts fairs will be at the Exchange Lot and at the Lions Flea Market in Town Square. So for all of those listening tonight, please get your stuff off the Exchange parking lot. Live music will be around town. There are activities at the Corps of Engineers Campground, the Northern Railroad Trackers, and of course, you guys, Cross Lake City Hall is offering tours that morning on Saturday, September 26th from 10 to 2. So for those who have not seen this facility, that will be a nice time for them to do that. We have the Unicorn Unicycler, and he is going to perform at both Golden Horizons and Whitefish at the Lakes. For those senior residents that haven't been able to get out, he'll be performing in the parking lot so the residents can see them from the building. He will perform again at the Cross Lake Community School that afternoon. So all of these things we are planning are in compliance with COVID safety protocol. Down to our neck gaiter face masks, which we're modeling tonight. You can buy these for $10 at chamber member businesses beginning this Thursday. And if you're wearing it around town, you will get deals and discounts on all the local businesses. So again, all the information with registration to all these links can be found at crosslake.com or download the Cross Lake mobile app on your cell phone. Thank you.
Hey, Cindy, question on the forum. Do you know what the capacity is going to be in that?
We're going to figure that out tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep, so they'll be spaced accordingly.
Okay.
And once it's full, it's full. Okay.
Thank you much. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Has everybody had a chance to go through the consent calendar?
I'd like to move or remove the special council meeting minutes of August 27th from the consent agenda.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
I'd like to remove item 16, the Waste Partners report.
Okay.
I don't believe that we're doing any recycling with them right now. This is the July report, and every bin was pulled away at the end of May. I drove by there today, and there's 2 bins there. One is for garbage, one is for metal. I'm not sure the numbers are right. I don't know what our involvement is in this anymore, and I don't think we need to have this anymore, unless Shar has some other comment.
That report is from Waste Partners, not from Cross Lake Roll-Off. Waste Partners reports to us what they collect from residential homes in Cross Lake. And they also send that report to the county, so they
okay.
just send us a copy of it.
I stand corrected.
Okay, and I would like to remove 17 from it for bills for approval because I've got a question on one of the bills. So do we talk about that right now, or do we just okay the rest of it?
Normally, you'd make a motion to approve except for the 3 pulled items.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve?
So moved, except for the items described.
Okay,
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, what do we do? Discuss the ones right now?
Then now discuss the 3 pulled. Normally, it's how you do it, unless you want to do it some other point in
Well,
the
let's
meeting.
discuss it. Which one did you pull, Marcia?
I pulled the special council minutes dated August 27th. First, I guess I question how the motions are recorded, if they're recorded as stated, or I'm not real sure, because the motion, you got it numbered here, 08SP3-03-20, made by Aaron Herzog, and seconded by myself, was to direct the mayor, Chip Lohmiller, and Mike Lyons to work together and make decisions regarding the change orders. There was no mention of change orders in that motion. It was actually that they worked together in conjunction in making decisions. So I guess I would like to see that corrected. I don't think that we should change motions. They should be recorded as stated. And I guess I would refer to the city attorney. Wouldn't that be the correct thing to do, is stated motion?
Well, the goal should always be to accurately reflect what was said. I don't have a memory of what was said, but I mean, you're clearly right. I mean, if you didn't mention change order, and that's not the intent, but often how we do that is you can do what you're doing right now, say, I believe it was this, and then you would make a motion to fix the minutes to adjust to what was said physically, you know, at the meeting. What was said, I don't have a memory of that, but yeah, every written motion should try to match as best as possible what was said.
Okay, I would like that corrected. And secondly, the closed session, the subject matter should be identified. And I think we even discussed that after we opened the closed session, that there should be mention that the subject matter should be identified. And it should also be identified probably on the agenda as we go forward, that people know, you know, we know the reason, litigation. Secondly, it should have the subject matter. And I think I brought that up once before under public forum, and it hasn't changed.
I agree that the minutes should show, or it should be apparent why you wanted to close session. That's true. I don't have the minutes in front of me to see what it says now, but I agree with that statement.
It doesn't say anything. So I don't know if the minutes want to be corrected and tabled till the next meeting so that we can review them.
That's up to the council, whether you direct staff to fix it or you'd rather see a new draft and approve it next time. That's up to the council.
I'd like to see a new draft and it tabled till the next meeting.
Okay. Is that
Need a motion
Is that a
for
motion?
that? Yes, that'll be a motion, that we table action on the special meeting minutes and direct staff to correct the minutes as stated.
Okay, do we have a second on it? I'll second it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I think, go ahead.
I'd just like to make a comment on those minutes, on the motion Aaron made. I re-listened to the tape, and I talked to Aaron about it, and it was very unclear. As soon as Tom Swenson got done talking that day, suggesting that the change orders be approved by the 3 people and that the amount be $25,000. Aaron's first remark was he agreed. So the topic we were talking about was change orders. So Aaron asked that I put this topic back on the agenda for today to discuss.
Okay,
So if they want to change that motion, they can. I just wanted to clarify my perspective on that.
Okay. But I think to correct that, what we need to do is we need to put that dollar figure. And that probably needs to be a new motion, I'm guessing.
You can take care of your change order stuff under wherever it is on the agenda.
Yeah,
Mayor's report.
Yeah,
But I don't, when I second a motion, I expect the motion in the minutes as stated, because if you're going to change your motion, then the person seconding the motion, you're changing it on them. You have to.
Yeah.
You would have to.
no, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying we need to do an additional motion to get the dollar figures in there.
I'm not arguing.
Okay, mine is 17 bills for approval, and it's a Winseth Smith bill for $3,305. And it relates to the presentation and the drawings for the new fire hall. And I believe back when Mr. Schrupp made the motion for Chip to go and look at fire halls, I don't believe that there was any architectural feature to that. It was just go out and casually come back to the council. And so now Chip apparently hired Winseth to do a design and a presentation. Is that correct?
I did take direction from Mr. Schrupp, but we already had the plans designed, so this bill is not entirely for the design. It was for also meeting with High Tech to go through the building to look at the mold and the engineering of the structure after receiving the report from the league that it wasn't built up to standard. So every time High Tech came to look at things, our engineer also was there.
The description for the payment states, collaborated with the Cross Lake Fire Chief in reviewing other fire halls, updating the building program, and preliminary design for the new fire hall. So I would read that as saying that a good portion of that was the preliminary design for the new fire hall. I mean,
If it may be, I don't know how many hours he had into it, but he already had the plan, so.
well, it's not broken down, you get 28 hours total. But I want to bring that up. I disagree with that one personally. But I want to see what the other council feels about it. Any comments? I mean,
I don't remember. Yeah, I've got it on. I don't remember there being discussion on it that we should hire, but I don't understand the bill. That's the problem. I haven't seen it, so I don't understand it.
well, collaborated with Cross Lake Fire Chief in reviewing other fire halls, which we asked Chip to do. I don't know if we asked him to engineer. Updating the building program and preliminary design for the new fire hall. And I'm assuming that was the presentation he did at that meeting. So,
Yes.
Dave, coming up.
While Dave's coming up, I think it was our understanding that we needed to get some cost information and resurrect the plan to see where we're at, if we did have to do a reconstruct. So there was time involved doing that. And that's what we acted on. So I'm in agreement with Mr. Lowmiller that that's what we believe the council's intent was at that time.
Okay.
And I was just going to suggest if you have questions about a bill like that, you need more information, just pull it and
Well, I saw this 3 minutes before the meeting. So.
we'll get the information that you
But
need.
I believe that I made a statement during the presentation, and I asked who is paying for this presentation while it was going on, because it was,
Yeah,
I was not expecting a full-blown presentation for a new fire hall.
Okay.
Dave, could you speak into the microphone so you show up on the recording? Thank you.
I don't know the particulars myself. I didn't work on it. So probably Mike England's the best person to address that question.
Right, but we're up here kind of trying to be responsible to the citizens of town, watching the dollars that are being spent. And this struck me as being out of line.
Okay.
So I don't know what you guys want to do about it. Do we just put it through and pay it, or do we hold it until we get a better explanation?
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills presented except for that particular bill and get more information on it and decide next meeting on it.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Pull that one out, huh? Okay, I believe that's it. Public hearing. Brad, is this you? Road vacation?
I can start it anyway.
Road vacation of a portion of Perkins Road.
TJ, could you maybe have that survey on the screen? Maybe one, the survey itself, it's either one before or one after that, probably. Or before, sorry. Right there. Okay. We've talked about Perkins Road many times. We're getting close to not having to talk about Perkins Road much more, I believe. So you'll see on that picture up there, if you start to the right or to the east, it shows Perkins Road, and then in the kind of in the middle of the drawing, it shows a curve to veer down to the south. That's the new alignment where the physical new pavement of Perkins Road is. So that's the new road. And then if going back to that middle where it veers there, instead, if you went to the top of the old Perkins Road, and it's in bold, it's kind of hard to see, but TJ is showing us right with that arrow right now. That's the old alignment of Perkins Road. The first half of that is actually platted on a plat to the north on the lakeside there. The west half is meets and bounds, and it's just by use. It's really not described. But in any event, that's our best guess at what everyone believes the original alignment of Perkins Road is. So the whole plan of this project was to build the new road. That's done, basically. Dave can speak to that more if you'd like more information on that. But now that it's done, we had promised all the residents that we were going to get rid of the old road. And then we were going to deed, you can see those little dotted numbers between the old road and the new road. There's lots 1 through 15. And we're going to, as part of, before this project started, I had agreements with all those people whereby they agreed to an assessment for the new road / acquire that little platted lot. So we're going to extend this, in essence, if the vacation goes through, that goes poof, it doesn't exist anymore. And for example, starting on the far right there, lot 37 is hard to see, but the owner of lots 38 and 37 will own lots 1 and 2. So their south lot line will go all the way down to the new alignment of Perkins Road. So to start this process, we got the survey done by WSN, and I sent a mailing out to all the people along this project area and said, give me a call so I can explain what's going on, and also gave them notice about a hearing tonight. I've spoken to all but 2 of them, and all but 2 of them have now paid the assessment and agreed, and everybody's on board. The 2 that haven't spoken to me, I don't know if they're on board or off board, but I just haven't spoken to them. I have before, but not lately. So I hope to speak to them soon, or maybe they're listening today. But I do need to talk to them before the project's done. But to date, between that mailing and the physical meetings I've had with most of them and phone calls, I have not had any objections to the vacation. But that's the purpose of this meeting, is to open it up to public comment and see if there's anyone in the crowd or on Zoom or however people want to communicate, if there's any other positive or negative reaction to what we're doing. And then assuming there's not any, well, no matter what happens, but especially if there's no negative comments, we'll bring it back to council and there'll be an official vote to vacate the old road alignment.
Okay, so we open it up to public comment now?
That's
Does
the
anybody
next
from
step.
the public have anything they want to say about this? No, TJ, are you able to take a Zoom comment if somebody does? Okay. All right. So it doesn't look like anybody's coming forward.
Then you can go back to the council and ask if any of the council members have any questions or concerns, or if not, looking for a motion to approve the vacation.
Okay, any discussion up here?
No questions.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion to approve?
Oh, what are you moving on? Yes. Could you state your motion?
Motion is to approve this vacation of the indicated land. Is that the correct words, Brad? Perkins Road.
The old alignment of Perkins Road.
The
is
old
what we're doing.
alignment of Perkins Road. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now what do you do with the resolution? Nothing, that's part of it.
That'll be, with that action, I will now record the resolution that in essence acts like a deed for the people on both sides of that road, so they'll own title all the way through to the new road.
Brad, does that include the two that may or may not actually agree yet?
Good question. So the vacation is final, no matter what people say after the meeting.
Okay.
The deeds for the people that have spoken to me will be recorded now.
Okay.
The two deeds for people that haven't spoken to me, I'm just going to hold. I'm not going to record them until we either get paid or they agree to an assessment. Before, they had the option of having it put on the taxes and getting assessed over time, or paying in full.
Okay.
And they need to kind of make a choice. If I don't hear from them at all, I'm going to direct Shar and Mike to just put it on the tax rolls.
Okay.
And once it's put on the tax rolls, then I'll still record the deed, because in effect, they paid for it then they've already signed an agreement allowing us to do that back last year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so moving on. It's time to, mayor's report, discuss the change order policy for the fire hall. Here we go.
I have a comment on that, if I could. I believe that the city council should approve the change orders. I think my second to that motion was that you could move on if there was something that would hold up the project, that the committee could say, proceed, and we'll get a change order to the city council to approve. I don't know that as a council, we should be giving you an open end for a $50,000 change order. And I also think that the city council needs to know what changes are being made. So the change orders, I feel, should come to the city council, but I wouldn't want to stop the project. I guess we're leaning on the committee to make the right decision to keep moving, and then provide a change order for approval by the city council.
But that was part of the discussion, and the reason for it is to keep the project moving.
Yes,
and I think we
I
put
also
up-
think if that's gonna occur, where if you wanna go along with the competitive bidding requirements, anything up to 25,000, that you could say, yeah, keep going on the project, we'll get a change order together and have it approved by the city council. But then I feel that there should be 2 councilmen on that committee, looking at those determinations that, if you're gonna be moving ahead with a $25,000 change order to be presented to the city council, there should be 2 councilmen on that committee.
Disagree with that. But I think the intention was, I think it was $25,000 limit on it for the committee of 3, what we have currently.
That's why we have to nail down motions, because we can't go by discussion. It's got to be in a motion.
Well, so there's 2 topics there. There's 2 council people on the committee, and the other one is the limit. Mr. Schrupp?
I hope we don't have a lot of change orders. And to what Marcia's saying, I think we should just have the council approve all of them. I think we really have to hold the cost down on this thing.
Okay.
So, and understand,
It's a
you know,
3-day
building it on schedule is, but, you know, there's no reason why we can't have a special meeting within 3 days if it's that serious, but it's hard to imagine. I know there's drawings, it's pretty detailed. Changes always just cost a lot of money,
Okay.
so.
John, do you have anything?
No, I'll agree with that.
No.
Okay, well, I disagree with that. I think we should have a limit on it of 25,000 just to keep the thing moving along. Certainly with updates, without a doubt.
Could I ask a question of the council to make sure we're all talking the same language? Because I think change order might mean different things to different people. What I'm imagining is unlike a normal, like a new build where I think there we all would have an agree maybe on what a change order is. Here, it's a remodeling job. We all know there's going to be things that come up with, well, we're assuming there's going to be things that come up about mold remediation. We've heard about a potential budget. We've already heard that we don't really know until we rip into it. So the question I would have is if they have to do some things to gut more than we were expecting or to take things down more than we were expecting, is that a change order? I think that's the biggest topic, and that's pretty loose. And are you all thinking that's a change order or not? I think that should be talked about more.
Okay, well, that's a good topic, but we've kind of outlined, I think, the worst case scenarios, and we've got budget numbers for them. But I think as we move on each one, it still is going to be a change because we don't know what that number is. It may not be as bad or.
I'm not trying to drive the answer. I'm just, to Marcia's point, if you want clarity on what you're agreeing on, I don't know if you have clarity on what, is that a change order or not, question mark. I don't think that's clear. How much like work to kind of on the fly, like our old former administrator was up saying, you need authority to do things. You can't wait 2 weeks. I think that comment was made in part to potential things that come up with a remodel. And again, that's my question to you. I'm not trying to tell you what the answer is. I'm just, you guys should maybe agree on some significant cost items could come up to that you probably in the end will all agree was a good idea to fix the mold issues, but is that what you're talking about right now? I don't know if it is, but it's something that's probably an unknown until you rip into it more.
Yeah, I mean, that's the highlighted one, no doubt.
Mayor?
Yep.
My idea of it is if they go into it and say, this is something we didn't know about, this is going to cost additional money beyond what the bid said. To me, that's a change order at that point. They get into it and they say, no, that we're proceeding on what is known at this time and it's expected expense. To me, that's not a change order.
Yeah. Well,
Am I clear enough on that, Brad?
I would still like to be updated on the cost as we dig into it, find out what we have to do. They're not change orders because they are outlined.
Back to, I'm not trying, I don't know if it's a council decision completely here, but you had a worst case scenario budget, for example, of the mold remediation. The question might be, if you stick in that budget, is that something that has to go back to a council vote or not? I mean, that's, because you do have a placeholder for that, is my memory. I don't have it, you know. Didn't High Tech give you a number?
Yeah.
And if the committee stays in that number, is that a change order or not? I'm unclear on that.
Well, what I'm saying is that the city council should be approving the change orders. I'm not trying to stop the project. I'm just saying that if the feeling of the committee is to just go ahead and approve these things and it doesn't come to the council, we no longer know what it's costing us until the end of the project. I just think that the change orders should come to the city council for approval. I don't know that we can give authority to 2 staff and 1 councilman for $25,000 here, $25,000 there, and not know about it. That's what I'm saying, is that we have to be made aware of change orders, and the change orders should come to the city council. I'm not trying to stop anything. I'm saying if you have 2 council members on there and they both agree, yeah, it's got to be done, keep going, we'll have a meeting and approve the change order at the next meeting or a special meeting. I don't care how that operates, but the change orders, any change to that contract should be reflected to the city council so that they know where they're at on the project and the citizens.
From a clarification point, we have a contract that we've signed with High Tech. It's about 1.3 million in round numbers. We have a design contract that was $100,000. We're at about 1.4 million for the project. But that's what's been approved to date. Anything beyond that has not, to my knowledge. Is that correct? They brought back proposals should we decide to go forward, but I don't recall the group voting on that and saying we accept this proposal and go ahead and move forward. So what I'd like to see before we get too far into it, and I've asked for this, is the cash drawdown schedule and your best estimate of the budget so we have some idea what we're being measured against. At a minimum, I'd like to see the proposed changes that were presented here about 2 months ago for the changing the wall or fixing the issues we identified. I'd like the council to have a formal approval on that. So then you'll know what those costs are, and then it's staff's job working with High Tech to stay within those costs on that. Anything beyond that would be another change order we need to come back with.
So we didn't give approval or a motion to approve the change orders to date. Specifically 76,000, were 3 of them that were immediate.
I think we'd like to verify that, but I don't
I
recall.
thought that we did.
We had a lot of discussion about it, and due to the level and the amount of the change orders is where we got into discussion with, well, let's look further at what a new building would look like and come up with some cost information. And again, that's where we met with High Tech and WSN, say we need some fairly accurate numbers that we can make an informed decision on. So that's part of the discussion we were having on the bill that got pulled earlier. So still, we need a drawdown schedule and what's our best guess, our best estimate as of today, what those additional change orders are. So we know and we can manage those costs.
If you requested those and to date have not got them.
That's correct.
Well, the change orders, that change order would still have to go through the city council.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, well, I don't understand why you haven't got those, but.
I'd like you to address the fact that we need another council member on the fire hall committee.
Okay.
I don't think.
How do the rest of you feel about that? Representation of 2 council, 2 staff.
It gives a better, an additional set of eyes and ears sitting on it that somebody may pick up on. So I'm not against it at all.
Okay, and Marcia, you're for it. I'm certainly not against it either. John, do you have an opinion?
I'm fine with it.
Dave?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, does anybody want to volunteer to?
Mayor, could I ask you to talk into your microphone again? We have people on Zoom that cannot hear you.
Okay. Do we have any volunteers to be on that committee or to fill that other spot?
I live 3 minutes from it. If you want me to work with it, I will, because I live right there.
I'll make a motion that we put Aaron Herzog on the fire hall building committee.
Okay.
I second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And I guess I'll call Andy Picar again tomorrow, Mike, and I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not out of place by doing that, but I'll call him and ask him why he hasn't got that to you.
That'd be fine.
And then, whatever we have to do to acknowledge the change orders and make sure that it's documented and we're moving forward. I don't think we can do it tonight, but we need to do it. So if we gotta have a special meeting or something to do that, we'll have to.
But Chip, do you have any idea when they're scheduled to? I know you had thought possibly this week.
Last time I spoke with them, they thought they'd have the project manager with a couple of people starting today, but they weren't there today. And then they were gonna have more people available next week, supposedly, but I've tried to get a meeting together so we can get everybody together, and I haven't been able to do that either. I need it, because I kind of need a schedule too, of what they're gonna dig into.
I will get a hold of Andy tomorrow morning. Okay, anything else on that? Okay, let's go to the E2, change order number 5 for City Hall building. The only thing I want to say about this, and Mike, I'm going to direct this to you. But in the list of change orders, there's been some oversights, and there's been some, you know, conscious add-ons that the city has done, right? I think in this one specifically, the bulletproof glass is something that wasn't in the original.
I'd have to look to verify that. Maybe Chief Lee could speak to that.
As far as I know, that was a cost or an expected item to be for the police department. I don't know where it came from that it wasn't.
But so how do we, Mr. Reese, how do we answer the question of what, you know, to me, if it was in the plans, it's definitely there. There's no argument about it.
And if you look at the plans and if you look at what was to be included, and I think everyone can agree with me on that list, that 50-page itemized list of things that were there, it was very confusing. I mean,
Well, no,
again, I didn't know it wasn't there.
Yeah, I'm not denying that, but Mr. Reese could tell you, was it there, bulletproof glass?
They didn't work on it.
I'm not trying to pin you down on this either, but it's just moving forward. When we get these things, there are things that come up and the city decides to do something. And there are other, you know, I think if it was in the documents and we should have got it, I don't think we should be paying the change order for it. And that's kind of my point.
Okay. Again, I don't know the details of this particular thing, but the design development process usually involves work with the city staff, the building committee to develop, you know, what all of the features of the building should include. And then that's done on the process of design development to construction drawings. So there should be a record, should be a record of the discussions of things going forward to the actual
And
development
for a
of construction
contractor's
drawings.
perspective, which I'm looking at it for, if I had a detailed set of drawings and I gave you a price on it, if it wasn't on there, I wouldn't include it, you know, and I'd have an argument.
Right, so you'd
Not
have
that
to
it's
look.
an argument right now, but I want to clarify.
Sure. So you should take a look at the plans and specifications and the design development notes from those meetings to see how that transpired.
Yeah, so I would like to do that.
Okay.
Whoever, somehow, just so we internally know where this stuff came from. Because there are some of these that to me were oversights, and there's some of them that were just electives that the city did, upgrades. And I think it should be in a different column. I'd like to see it in a different column. Okay, that's all. Okay, so we got a pay request here.
Did you want to table this then, Dave? Because it sounds like this is a little bit of a dispute at this point.
Mr. Mayor, I have another issue with the well screen. I think I talked about it before, you know, if you have, you know, Shar mentioned there's sand in the lavatories. And I think the document referenced the fire suppression system. And I pulled up the detailed quote. I couldn't find any reference of a well, but I did find two numbers in the fire apparatus that were like almost 70,000 a piece. So I'm assuming those are two wells. I don't know for sure. There isn't any detail there, but if there's an issue with sand getting up, we don't pick the well or the screen, they do. So.
Well, I think that should fall back on Winston's lab.
Well, I think it's high tech, isn't it? That.
Well, but they're the engineers.
Yeah.
So between the two, yeah, whoever, I mean, but I don't think it's bad to get a clarification on that.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe we sit on this.
So maybe we should sit on it. Yeah.
That's most of it.
I'll make a motion that we table payment to, on this pay request.
So is there any other clarification? Oh, I'm sorry, Marcia. So we got a motion
Second.
and a second.
It's not.
I'll change the motion to tabling action and payment on the change order from Sourcewell.
E2. Okay. So we got
I
a
said
motion
still
and a
second.
Right, all in favor? Go ahead.
Can we add to ask for clarification on why we're paying for this? That's what we want them doing, right?
Yeah.
I would think they'd clarify if they don't give payment, but you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they don't waste another month.
And it is the well screen and the bulletproof glass are two of them here. We could really get into all of this if we wanted to. So we got a motion and a second for those two requests, right? The glass and the screen.
There was 3 items on here, wasn't there?
The other was radios, and I don't,
One was electrical ads. Who can tell me what that is? I have no idea. $5,540.05.
Is this for the electric door?
no.
No.
I think we should just ask Mr.
Doesn't
Reese to
say.
go through this whole
The whole bill.
thing.
You,
Come back
okay.
with an explanation for it.
I agree.
So the motion and the second is in regard to this E2, this whole document. Any other conversation on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Well, we got a commission appointment. So we got a Public Works Commission appointment. I recommend the following appointments. Gordon Wagner, appointment to fill a 3-year term ending 1/31/2023.
I will
So-
make the motion for Gordy Wagner to be appointed to the Public Works Commission.
Second.
Period of time.
The motion and the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we got a resolution accepting donations. I think I'll read this. We got some pretty nice donations here this time. Whereas the city of Cross Lake encourages public donation to help defray costs to the general public by providing services and improving the quality of life in Cross Lake. Whereas the city of Cross Lake is generally authorized to accept donations of real and personal property pursuant to Minnesota statute section 465-03 for the benefit of citizens. And whereas state statute 465503 requires that all gifts and donations of real or personal property be accepted only with adoption of a resolution approved by 2/3 of the members of the city council. Whereas the following persons and or entities has donated real and or personal property as follows. We've got a donation from Jesse and Stephanie Newman for 24 yards of rubber mulch for the park department. Peter and Pam Graves, $1,148.38 for a picnic table and umbrella for the pickleball courts. And the Greater Cross Lake Area Foundation and Cross Lake Ideal Lions for $6,400 to enhance safety features of the outdoor pickleball courts and nearby activities. And the Pale Foundation, $30,000 for the pickleball courts construction. Thank you, Jess. Come on up. Jesse Idy from the Pale Foundation.
Yep, as I'm sure you're aware, the Park and Library Foundation of Cross Lake is a 501c3 nonprofit organization which can accept tax-deductible donations for recreation and library purposes in Cross Lake. The foundation is overseen by a 10-member board of directors. We have examples of some past and present projects that have been funded through PAL, the development of the disc golf course, the community activity area next to the playground, the development of the Nordic Ridge Trail system, including the purchase of the ski trail grooming equipment, funding for the trail along Manhattan Beach Road, funding for the summer children's program at the library, the dog park, funding for the annual Halloween party at the community center, funding for various library needs not included in the city budget, funding for the tennis courts and shade feature, funding for the new basketball and pickleball courts, the senior meals program, development of the community garden, funding for the ice skating rink boards, and funding for benches placed along the city walking and biking trails. In addition, the PAL Foundation serves as a fiscal agent for the Light Up the Dam Committee. PAL also coordinates with the Cross Lake Chamber of Commerce by receiving donation used in the annual 4th of July fireworks. This PAL summer, we worked with the Cross Lake Ideal Lions and the Chamber of Commerce to help secure funding for music in the park. We look forward to working with the city on the many development opportunities presented by South Bay Park. The COVID-19 virus has affected PAL as we cancel fundraising events. Our remaining fundraisers include the cabin calendar, which we do work collaboratively with the Chamber of Commerce and split those profits, and our solicitation letter, which we send out each November. All the donations received by the PAL Foundation stay in this community to enhance the library and our recreational program and facilities. It is with pleasure that I present the mayor with a check in the amount of $30,000 to help offset the cost of the new basketball and pickleball courts. The money is comprised up from individual donations, donation from the Lions, and funding set aside for the project by the PAL Foundation.
Jesse, I want to personally thank
So,
you
yeah,
and the whole
30,000.
organization, all the PAL people. You guys
Thank you,
do
we
a-
love to work with you guys.
Oh, yeah, go over there.
You want to come up here, Jeff? Or you want to keep going?
Oh, I'm
You can stand in front of the seat.
Oh, sure. Look at me.
In our COVID world.
Yeah, right.
Well, is there anybody here from the Greater Cross Lake Foundation or the Ideal Lions? That was an awfully generous donation they gave too. And Peter and Pam Graves, want to thank you? Sure, come on up.
I would actually, Pam Graves, Cross Lake. I would like to thank the Cross Lake Ideal Lions. We now are Cross Lake, the owners of another AED device at the pavilion. It's been installed. This is a life-saving, potentially life-saving device. If the community center is closed, people who play tennis, basketball, walking the trails can go there. And if you need it, which I hope you never need it, that device is there to help save a life. And that was donated by the Lions. So thank you.
We are very fortunate
Yes,
with
we
this
are.
community. And to not leave Jesse and Stephanie Newman out for their park department, where's that going, playground? Underneath the swings or something?
We still have yet to find a place for it. It just kind of fell in our lap one day. It was a project in the city. The homeowners no longer needed it, so they donated it to us. We're going to find a good home for it, so.
All right, well, fabulous. The city gained a lot this month by these donations of these individuals and foundations. Okay, I'm gonna finish. Whereas the city of Cross Lake will strive to use the donation as intended by the donor, and whereas the city of Cross Lake finds that it's appropriate to accept said donation as offered, now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Cross Lake that the donations as described above are accepted as allowed by law. Thank you again, all of you.
We need a motion for that.
Okay.
So move.
Motion to accept.
I'll second it.
The second, all in favor?
John made the motion.
Aye.
Motion for John. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, number 6 is the Coalition of Greater Minnesota's, just the yearly feast Pardon? Are we going to be? All right. Did you guys get a chance to look at this in the packet? They're asking for $500.
Well, that's 25%. The first year you pay 25% of the dues, second year 50%, the third year 75%. Then you pay the full, what is it, 2,000 something a year after that. So I guess I'm not aware of the organization, and I'm not a fan of just joining organizations to join, especially when they're this expensive.
Does anyone have experience with this organization?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
I would say ask our city administrator to keep it on file in case we need it for future
Is there an
reference
opinion on it?
and move on.
We've done fine not being a member. I'm not sure what benefits we'd receive by adding this to our membership. I'm sure we get lots of good mailings and lots of good resources. We rely a lot on the league right now for that. So it's really up to the council if you want to participate in that or not.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'm not in favor of it, so I'll make a motion. We do not join this organization.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we've got a couple high-tech pay requests, fire hall design. So we paid them 90, there's 10 balance.
Correct.
And this is strictly in-house by High Tech that's doing the design of this?
It's by High Tech and their consultants. High Tech
Are
is
you
the lead
involved
on
in
this.
thing too? Okay, so just, I mean, we're getting into another project.
And this would be the final bill on the design. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yep, okay. So the design was 100 grand, we paid them 90, there's a balance of 10 left.
I'll make a motion. We pay High Tech the remaining $10,000 on that contract.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and second from Marcia, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. So now we got another one for the city hall and police department in the amount of $37,000.
I think, Mr. Mayor, if you go to page 3 of this request, you can see the amounts in column E, the letter E on that page. One of the requests is for change order number 3, the ADA door openers, which we're still waiting for installation. We haven't seen those yet. Those are supposed to be installed on August 17th. We're far beyond that. And then the change order number 4 is the one previously pulled from the bills for payment. So if you did want to pay this, the items above that would be eligible. There is some question on earthwork there because I think item 43 in the contract on earthwork shows hydro seeding, and
Put this up on the
haven't seen any
screen.
hydro seeding either.
Doug, show what you saw that.
Yeah, here's
Yeah, go ahead and
43
put it
is
up.
utility mix, hydro or air seeding. I don't know, 82 7-pound bags, $5,800. So I'm assuming that's part of what we paid
LA,
LA Lawn Care to the 15,000.
we need to clarify that.
Yeah,
So I would just sit on this whole bill.
okay.
That's a
So we need a
motion. That's a motion.
Motion to wait for,
To table paying this bill, am I?
To not pay it today without further explanation. And I guess I had a question, are all the other issues that you've had resolved? Because this looks like it was the retainage payment.
No, they have not.
So
okay,
when,
so we're gonna put that kind of, well, that's a motion. Let's,
yeah,
And I'll second Dave's motion.
okay, we got a motion and a second to table this request. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is that, Mr. Reese, are you going to take that and get clarification on it? Okay. Okay, Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. The first item under my report is it's time to renew our health insurance policy. And we have Harlan Johnson, I think he's here to talk a little bit about the insurance renewal. And for those of you that don't know, we obtain our health insurance for our employees through Resource Training and Solutions. Resource Training and Solutions is a service cooperative, basically central Minnesota. We are not physically located in their region. However, that does not limit us from buying services from them. If you think about it, back I think in about the early 70s, mid 70s, the service cooperatives were organized by state statute, and they're technically a school district in the form of organization. Same as Sourcewell, and the other ones are listed on there for your reference. So while we're not physically in that region, we can still buy services from them, just like we can buy fire trucks from HGAC, and just like other entities can buy services from Sourcewell that don't live in the area. So that's kind of how a service cooperative works. So Harlan's here to answer any questions on the insurance, talk a little bit about how the entities provide insurance to us, a little bit about experience ratings, how they're organized, and our recommendation for renewal. So go ahead, Harlan.
Greetings. Is this okay?
Yep.
Drop the mask. I mumble anyways, so. Health insurance, everybody's favorite. It's constantly going up, and therefore we're always looking for ways to mitigate those rate increases and the spikes, and that's why we joined, one of the reasons we joined RTS Co-op years ago, and it's done very well. And they actually took another step this last year, and co-ops made another co-op and called themselves the Minnesota Health Consortium. They've done a very good job. They came through with a 4.8% rate increase for this year. I hope this is a continued downward trend because health insurance is already expensive. But at 4.8, the closest thing we could come to as comparison-wise for the city of Cross Lake would be the small group market. And the small group market doesn't actually even have a plan that's exactly the same as the cities. That's the second reason we joined the co-op and stayed with the co-op, is so we didn't have to renegotiate our contracts with the unions and management here in the city of Cross Lake, because we were able to keep that the same and the benefit the same. In the private market, they continue to go up. But for better or worse, so it's real hard. I don't know of another co-op that even would allow us to have the plan we have, because they fiddle fart around with them every year. Excuse my colloquialism. They change the deductibles and maximum out of pockets, and going up a little bit every year. But 4.8 is as good as anything that's close to the city. The city's got about 21 employees?
17.
17?
That are on the plan.
I'm always thinking bigger, hoping for more. 17 employees, that would normally be a small employer group. And they don't have the features that the RTS has, and their rates have been consistently lower than that small group market. In outstate Minnesota right now, the market leader rate-wise is Blue Cross Blue Shield, and just below them is Medica, and then it's a toss-up between Health Partners and Preferred One. So we're already with the premier carrier, and they've done, the co-ops actually put their stuff out for bid every year too, and everybody's just kind of backed out from Blue Cross the last 2 or 3 years because they're big, they're strong, and they're lower. So you guys have a very nice offer here at 4.8. And we're recommending that you renew it as is. And if you've got any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Marcia?
What's the split between single and family coverage? How many employees under single and how many employees under family?
Boy. I don't have the bill with me tonight. It came
You don't get
directly
that
from
on
the
your
Twin
renewal?
Cities, but I don't know if there's a list in here. It's mostly families. I'll go out on that limb, but I don't have that split right now. I suppose we could figure it out with some addition on those, on the
So
billing.
do they give you a plan design, higher deductibles? The co-op, I mean, do they,
No, we didn't ask for one.
it'd be interesting to know what a $5,000 deductible would be. Used to be
Yeah, that,
when there
it's,
was zero deductibles was a gold plan, and now it's the 3,000 is the gold plan. and
Exactly.
most
Good for you,
communities are
Marcia.
5,000.
And the only complicating factor there, of course, is you're talking with 3 bargaining units, your management and your ASME and Teamsters. So,
So the bargaining units have in their contracts that it's got to be a $3,000 deductible? or
That's
is it
correct.
that's
you
what
offer health
that's what they've
insurance?
decided on.
What?
That's what they've decided on. Mike would speak better
Both
to that.
union
I'm-
contracts require us to provide the level of benefit. It's what's stated in this policy. Now, what we run into with the problem is with such a small group, to go through a co-op to provide insurance at these rates, we have to have 10 or more participants in each group of benefits. So we negotiate the union contracts, settle those, and then everyone else kind of follows the same insurance plan. So we have one insurance plan that serves the non-union folks and both unions. What we did a few years ago is we had rates that were all over the board. And what we found at that time, we had policies running from about $400 a month to $2,600 a month. And some staff shared in the premium and some did not. So we went back and we did an analysis back in 2012, starting in 2013, say how can we better manage our insurance program. And so we did that and we implemented a high deductible healthcare plan. We were planning to try to set ourselves up to compare with the provisions of the Affordable Care Act to make sure we had the appropriate coverages at the appropriate amount. And we didn't get into the issues where we had to pay a penalty because we provided an excess benefit or not. So one of the things we found was to comply with the provisions of our union contract. We went to Blue Cross. One year we were with Medica, we were with United, I don't know, we were with Health Partners. Health Partners would not write us a policy through Sourcewell. And the reason they didn't want to do that is because we were already a Health Partners client in the small business market at that time, and they didn't want to cannibalize their small market business by moving a small market client to a co-op. So they did provide us a rate at that time, and it was substantially higher than what Blue Cross offered. So we've been in the Blue Cross small business market. We bumped back out of it, and we went to RTS and said, do you have a different solution for us that can provide this level of benefit to be in compliance with our contract? They said yes, and they've done that for the last 3 years. Now, in Minnesota, if you have 25 or more employees, you should go out and get quotes in the open market. We have far less than that, and we're going through a co-op that already does that bidding process for us. So with the arrangement we have, we believe we're getting the best rate that's available to us. And the way the Minnesota Healthcare Consortium works is every year they look at who are our members and who are like members within our group. So I believe in their group, I think it states in here, there's about 400 members in their group of clients that are like us, where the resources for insurance are pooled. So our recommendation, and this is how the budget is built on too, is to accept this proposal and not mess with either union contract.
I just have one question about, is the health insurance driven by the union, or does the city council approve it?
The city council decides what benefits to offer, and those are either accepted or not by the union.
So in the union contracts, I'll refer that to the city attorney, is couldn't you just put in there that the city will offer health insurance and not mess around with deductibles, so you don't get in the middle of increases like this? No, the union contract, my understanding is, doesn't end until the end of 2021. And so we can't change it because the $3,000 deductible is in the union contract. Don't you think we'd be better off if we put in the contract with the union that we provide health insurance?
Well, I mean, it's a negotiated contract, so they're going to want more than we're gonna have some type of health insurance. I mean, they're gonna, I assume, I've not been a part of that negotiating in this city ever. I have been in other cities. But typically, health insurance and other benefits are negotiated just as hard as salary. I mean, it's not a one-way street.
I guess I would ask that whoever's negotiating that union contract, that they try that. And if not, I don't feel like next fall or whenever you negotiate the union contracts that we should be held at the $3,000 deductible. What if it goes up another 6-7% next year? We can't even increase our deductible to bring our costs down. That's all I'm going for.
Okay.
I don't have anything further to add to that discussion other than, our request to approve this as presented.
I make a motion that we approve this recommendation for the health insurance for employees.
We have a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, so the second item under my report under F2, go ahead and pull that up, TJ. That should be on page 94 of the packet. This is what our levy would look like at the same tax rate as last year. And that's what we had discussed at our last meeting on September 10th. We made a number of changes, and the direction from council was to look at the tax rate, keep the tax rate, the estimated tax rate the same, and adjust our levy to that amount. And we had a lot of discussion on this at that meeting. We talked a lot about what's in the levy and what's not in the levy. And that would have been, I think, our fourth meeting on the levy. So the purpose of this tonight is not to say this is our budget on the expense side. It is to set our preliminary levy, at which point it can go no higher than that. It can go lower based on things that change after this point. Now, if you're not happy or you want something different than this, you can call another special budget meeting, and you'll have till the last business day of this month to approve it. Otherwise, your levy gets set at what it was last year.
Okay, Mike, and last year it was an increase from the year before. What was it?
Hold on.
You want it in dollars or percent, Dave?
Percent. Roughly, I mean, 3?
No, it wasn't. It was 9% last year. Last year it was 9%.
So just.
This year it would equate to 5.71% over last year. And it would provide adequate funds to cover any projected deficit at this point in the utility fund. So again, the purpose of the resolution tonight is to set the preliminary levy, not the final levy or the budget. So I'm sure there'll be lots of discussion on final budget numbers as we get things changed over the next few months and we get final numbers, one being a drawdown schedule on the project, the fire hall project, and a better estimate of what those change orders are going to look like.
So any comments on this?
I only have one comment. I'm not opposed to the flat levy. I just want everybody to know that I voted no on it because I thought we should decrease it because we levied 3% more than we needed last year, and we're finding a lot of things in the budget that that we're not expending and probably can get carried over to next year. But that being said, I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary tax levy that's presented at flat rate. But I want to make sure that we have a budget meeting in November so that we can reduce it.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Do we need to have another budget meeting before the final levy gets approved to do that?
I'm hearing part of the motion is saying that's part of the motion, so the answer is yes.
Before the end of September?
No. If you pass,
November.
if you pass this motion tonight, you've certified your preliminary levy. What Marcia is asking for is another budget meeting to finalize things as we have better information in the next couple months. Is that correct, Marcia?
That's correct.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask TJ to talk about this next one. It's a proposal from Digital Horizons for video switching addition. So go ahead, TJ.
What you see before you is a estimate on what it would cost to make our system more compatible with Zoom. Right now, this machine works. We can see it on the TVs in here, but anyone on Zoom cannot see anything on this document reader just because our switch system doesn't allow enough input-output capabilities. So what this provides is a new, you see it in there, the 6500, 8 input, 4 out video matrix production mixing console. Right now we have 2 capabilities, that goes to 4. We need 1 for this, and they added an extra slot just in case for the future purposes, future expansion or whatnot. So if you have any questions, shoot them my way. If not, that's all I got.
So I might want to add just one thing. You know, Chip just reminded me that, you know, because we're doing this video system, because we're having remote meetings, and that we can apply for reimbursement for this under the CARES funding, if you so choose.
For the whole 8,500?
That's correct.
8,600, okay.
Tom, you want to say something coming up?
I'm just confused. Is there already a panel in there, and is that being replaced by this one? Okay, are we getting any credit for that, or is this in addition to that? Do you need this? Are you going to need 2 panels, or can we trade that one in and get a credit toward this 8,500?
What we would be looking at doing is taking out that panel and replacing it with this new matrix console. Our option there is we could sell it, and Digital Horizons could advertise for it, and they could look out if anybody needs a console like that, then we could sell it to them, or we could put it on the bidding website, whatever we go through for excess materials. So they won't buy it back. It's past the 30 days and they threw away the boxes, so they can't return it to the business they bought it from. So those are our two options.
Did they put any kind of value on it? Probably not, huh?
No.
I would suggest you get an estimated value, what it would be worth, okay? And then also maybe find out if they're actually gonna push to help us out with that.
Well, we can advertise it as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do we know that COVID's gonna cover these costs that we say we're gonna submit? Do they ever deny?
We haven't had anything denied yet.
Yeah, but they say this is eligible.
Yes, they do. Anything you want to add to that, Chip? He's shaking his head no. Okay.
Okay. I guess to be able to share documents and share information is important.
Jerome Volt, Simone Beach Trail, is this gonna fix the Zoom so that when you're talking, it comes up that you're up here, not sitting down and your voice is coming over?
The only thing that'll fix that is if Dave holds the microphone up closer to his mouth.
Might have to get a headset.
That will be addressed if you approve this tonight. Regardless, we can have them come over, but they were planning on coming and looking at the system itself to fix that glitch. So regardless, they're gonna fix that glitch that has an audio and visual delay between the both of them.
Okay. All right, anybody want to do anything with this? This is not my specialty.
Well, I think it's needed, because I think we need to have it where people on Zoom can see what's going on. So I would make a motion that we approve this.
Okay, we got a motion by Enders to approve. Anybody want to second it?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Oh,
Any ideas where we're gonna get the money from?
We would-
Steal it from something that we haven't spent on?
No, we'd include it in our CARES Act money reimbursement.
Gonna go for CARES, all right.
If that's part of your motion, we'll do that.
yeah.
Make it part of my motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item we have is naming a road. So we need a resolution to pass the naming of the road. Ordinance, I'm sorry.
Where is this Alma Pond Road?
I'm not familiar with Alma Road. Char's familiar with that, I believe.
This is off of Melinda Shores Road, right across from the last road name we approved, Blue Rush Lane, I think it was. And this is right across the street from there, on Alma's Pond.
And it still is a private road, just 3 residents on it or whatever. Okay. Okay, well, I make a motion, we approve.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion on it?
Does your motion include publication of the summary ordinance?
Yeah. Okay, motion to approve with publication. We got a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Can you put page 112 up there, TJ? Okay, this next item is, I think everyone remembers back in 2016, the city did a negotiated asset sale for the assets of Cross Lake Communications, also known as their internet service provider and phone company. people take their laptops and computers and phones and stuff to get them set up, email and all kinds of things. Part of the sales agreement that the city accepted back in 2016 was that the new owner, Trico Technologies, invest a certain dollar amount into the system to keep improving it. The council didn't want a situation where we sold the phone company and the service degraded, or the equipment failed to work, or they didn't replace things or repair things. So that amount was $2 million at that time. They've got one more year to go on it, and they've already hit their goal on it. And so the requirement of the sales contract is once their audit is complete and their auditors have certified that, yeah, they invested this much into their equipment, whether it's fiber or switching equipment or whatever it is, that they report that amount to the city once that's available. So you have the numbers by year there. So at this point, they're at $2,193,897.02. There's no action to take on this. It's just information for the council to assure you that they're living up to the commitments of that contract. Okay? So the next item up here is whenever we're dealing with the public, the public always doesn't get the answer they want. And so we hear about it really fast, whether it's police or fire or a planning commission issue or anything. But John Kolstad would not be happy about me doing this for him because he's very humble and he doesn't like the attention, but he's not here tonight, so he gets to miss it and the rest of you get to hear it. This is a letter I received from a citizen that attended variance hearing on a property that was, I believe, the old school. And he felt compelled enough about it to write a letter to us saying, hey, you need to recognize this guy for the great work he's done in planning and zoning. So the letter's in your packet for information. There's no action that requires to be taken on it other than, it's nice to get recognized for doing something good sometimes. So that is what it is. And thank you, John, for your service in many ways. The next item we have on here is for your information. It's from a resident that CHIPS Group responded to. Sometimes, the police and fire and EMTs, they go out on a call and they don't even get a thank you. Sometimes people really appreciate their efforts and write us a letter and like them to get recognized. So thank you to Cross Lake Fire Department or EMTs, and which includes the police. So thank you for all you do to help us through situations that we don't anticipate. So it's kind of good to get some nice information for the hard work people are doing in a really tough time. So thank you. Now we get to make people mad. Public Works Commission made the recommendation to adjust the sewer rate fees this year. So the last time the city raised the rates for what it costs us to operate the sewer fund was 2019. And what they're asking for is to raise that monthly sewer charge from $50 to $52. From a budget perspective, current projections, that would generate about $12,200 more revenue over what is currently listed in the budget. Okay, so the Public Works Commission is to adjust the monthly sewer rate fee from $50 to $52, and we would make that effective beginning of the year of 2021.
Need a motion for that?
Yep, need a motion for that.
I move that we increase the sewer rates from $50 to $52 a month beginning January of 2021.
Okay, we got a motion by Andrews. Anybody want a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any questions, discussion?
Just an item of interest for the people. Talking to my brother-in-law in Bismarck, North Dakota, and his water bill in July ran just shy of $500. 1 month. Private residence, He and his wife live in it. The rates have gone absolutely berserk in some of those areas. So this is not unreasonable, let me put it that way.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. The next three items refer to pay requests for projects we're currently working on or wrapping up. So I'm going to ask Dave Reese to present those. Go ahead, Dave.
Thanks, Mike. The first item on the agenda is for Perkins Road pay request number 3. This is a partial payment request, and the amount that's for consideration tonight is $218,038.11. We recommend payment.
And they've completed this work satisfactorily?
Yes.
Okay. Then I move we approve the bill for Borden Excavating and pay it for the amount of $218,038.11.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Is it almost done, Dave?
With the exception of the removal of the old road, which had to wait for the vacation proceeding.
Seated and kind of
Yes.
together. I haven't been down there.
Yes, it's
Good.
nearing completion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next one on the agenda is a pay request for D. Chantel Excavating for the water quality project in the amount of $127,425.97. And this project is nearly complete. There are some paperwork items that are required. That's why we're holding retainage yet. So this is a pay request, and we're still holding retainage until we get those items.
Do they have any guarantee for the plants they planted to grow? I mean, is there a 1 year or some kind of?
I would have to look at that specification again.
Put some nice cover in there, but
Yeah.
they're not really watering it, so.
Right. Yeah.
I'd be curious if that is. And then is the level that's sitting in the pond, is that lake level?
It's probably a little bit higher than lake level.
Doesn't seem to be moving.
Right. There hasn't been any water that's increased to the point where it would go out the outlet pipe to Loon Lake. So it's basically attenuating with groundwater.
Right. Okay. Okay, so we need a motion.
I so move.
Motion.
Hey.
I'll second it. A second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the third and final pay request on the agenda tonight is for R.L. Larson for the Daggett Bay Road Sanitary Sewer Extension Project. This is the final payment request and release of all the retainage. So the total of the final payment plus release of the retainage is $26,324.79. I'll note that we typically require the state's withholding affidavits for all the subcontractors, IC-134 forms. They didn't think they'd have that for us tonight, but R.L. Larson is okay if the council conditionally approves this final payment and release of retainage. And you can cut them a check when you receive those IC-134 forms. They're okay with that.
So approve it tonight and wait for the documentation.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve pay request 3 to R.L. Larson in the amount of $26,324.79, holding the check until we get the
Yep.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
One final comment on that Daggett Bay Road project. The council may recall that a change order was approved for that in between $5,000 to $6,000. The final cost of the project was just approximately $670 over the original bid amount. So in spite of the change order that was approved, it came in much less at the final. So that
doesn't happen very often.
That doesn't happen very often.
Well, thank you, Mr. Reese. Good. Okay, public safety, Eric?
Pretty simple tonight. Requesting permission to order a 2021 Ford SUV Police Interceptor next year. So we'd order it now, purchase it after January 1st. This would replace a 2016 that was bought late 2015, I think, if I recall correctly.
I'm confused. I thought it was budgeted for this year. You have
I've got
150
2 squads in Hibbing right now that were budgeted for this year. We haven't picked them up yet. This is for next year to replace next year's squad.
How many squads do we have?
We have 6.
How many officers?
We have 6.
Everybody's got a car?
Everybody's got a car.
Can you explain the need for everyone having a car? Just so I know.
One, it allows us to have the cars we need come parades, special events, storms, that type of thing. The officers all have take-home cars. When we respond from home or we are called out, we directly get in our car and go. So we're available to go. We don't come in here. The squads have always been taken care of better. And if we have less squads with officers sharing them, we have an issue with more miles being put on the car. So you're buying as many cars, you're just not using them as often, or you're using them more. More mileage gets on them in a shorter period of time. So with the 5 or 6 cars that we have now, we're purchasing 1 every year up till the 5th year, then we purchase 2.
Did you get 2 last year? Or
We're
was
getting
one-
2 this year.
You got 2 this year?
Right.
Eric, the cars that you are getting right now that we're receiving this year, you would have expected them to be in that February, March timeframe, correct?
Yeah, they were supposed to be here, and I think we talked about that, Marcia, at the one of the budget meetings, that they haven't been purchased yet because Ford stopped their manufacturing because of COVID. So it's taken this much longer to get to us.
So you haven't, the 2 that you got last year, haven't gotten either one of them yet?
The 2 that we ordered last year that were deliverable this year, we have not gotten yet.
So we don't put the squad cars in our garage, the police station?
Not all the time, no.
Pretty nice garage.
You were there when we designed the building, and you knew then that they were take-home
I
cars.
guess I didn't realize all the squad cars went home, and I didn't know that we had 6.
At some point in time, and hopefully beyond my tenure here, that there will be a time that you're going to probably have to look at squads being left here and officers driving in. When we do have the big events, the storms, the emergency call-outs, that type of thing, we have a kind of an unwritten rule: you're going to come because you have a take-home car. So you're going to be out the door and you're going to be helping us. We can't expect that if they don't have a car at home. I mean,
I guess there's just not that many small communities that have. 6
Breezy
squad
Point,
cars.
Nisswa, Pequot, Crosby,
They all have 6
Growing,
squads.
they all have take-home cars.
typically, if you have a department that runs 12 to 15 cars or less, you save thousands of dollars by doing this, because you don't have one driver taking it and going with another driver and another driver. And pardon my language, but they beat the hell out of the cars. When they have a take-home, they're
There's more
responsible
ownership.
for everything on that car, including the tire wear. So
Let's put it this way, when I started here
And
in,
there used to be studies on it. I haven't worked with it in years, but our department was too big. We couldn't go to it because of the cost. And, but when you get into the smaller departments, you save a lot of money. And most of it is in repairs and wear and tear.
Okay.
When
That's why
I-
I'm looking for explanations of why we do it, because it just seems pretty
Well-
extravagant for a small community.
Chief Lee?
when I started in 96, myself and my partner shared a car. We were getting a car every 2.5 years. We were sharing a car that takes one officer out of the mix to be able to respond to a call or a call out because the other officer has that car. You buy one every 2.5 years, or you replace them every 5 years, one car per year, well, now 6. You're not buying any more cars, you're just buying them less frequently.
Just need an explanation.
Sure.
In case some,
And if you
so I
wanna
can
sit down and talk
understand,
about it,
and I'm getting
absolutely.
it.
And if you have questions about how the police department runs, I'm more than happy to sit down and have a chat. And we can talk about it. It's pretty easy. I mean, you're gonna have 100,000 miles plus on a car 2.5 years old, or you're gonna have 100,000 miles on a car that's 5 years old with one driver.
Okay. I guess if the citizens, I'm not gonna try and change things here. I'm just questioning
Sure.
why, so that I can explain it if someone would ask me. But if the citizens are happy with having 6 officers, each have their own car, and they all go home with their cars, they put them in garages, and I'm fine with that if the citizens don't call and say, what's up with this? We don't think it's right. Then I guess that's
Sure.
status quo.
And I would take that from more than one citizen or 2 citizens that come and talk to you. There might be 3 or 4 that say, yeah. So again, I haven't heard any complaints about it. I would expect that I would if there was an issue with it. And at that point in time, I'd bring it forward to you. So anyway, the squad car is $33,819.24 under the state contract with some add-ons and some deletions. You've got the whole bid there. It would be deliverable after January 1st, 2021.
But no equipment yet.
No equipment, some equipment in it, it's not completely set up though.
And equipment's another 20 grand.
So equipment's another 20, 25. Mhm.
So it's north of 50. You want to say something, Tom? Come on up.
So Eric, while Tom's coming up here, can you share with the council, I mean, I know the answer to this, but what's the square mile of your service area?
37 within the city of Cross Lake and another 36 in Mission Township.
I agree with Eric. I was here when they were sharing squads and, they'd leave them a mess and there was no accountability. But what my question is, during my 15 years when we were here, if we got rid of a squad car, it'd usually go to either planning and zoning or the park, for an extra vehicle. We're not doing that anymore. I would assume a 2016 SUV is worth some money. What are we doing with that? Is that coming off is the 33 with a trade-in? Are we selling it? And if we're selling it, is there an estimate of how much it is so that could be included as a revenue in next year's budget to reduce the levy?
This year, when we replaced the other 2016 that was purchased way earlier, because they stopped making 2015s at a certain point in time in 2015, and they called the next one a 2016 by the time we had it delivered. This will be the first time, and we've typically done this in the past. As of recently, we would sell the squad with closed bids. And when we get the new squads set up and the old squads are out here, I'll come to you and ask to sell them for closed bids at some point in time. So we have no idea right now what we are going to get on a used SUV Ford. We have no idea right now. I don't know if I'm going to get 10,000. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to get 10,000. I don't know if I'm going to get 8,000. I don't know if I'm going to get 14,000 for it. I have no idea right now. So I don't know where we would put that in the revenue side once we start selling these, and they're, still good shape. I mean, kind of look like at one for my son, a 16-year-old, but they're good for that. They're not good for emergency response. So.
Then do you advertise that?
Yeah, we would advertise in the papers and on our Facebook page.
Yeah, the other thing we would do with the squad, this is the first time you're selling the SUVs, correct?
Right.
Because we all had Crown Victorias. And so when we go sell the Crown Vics, what would happen is we tried to sell them. Sometimes people would be interested in them, sometimes not. They're more interested in the number of hours on the engine and the maintenance records than they are the mileage on it. And so what we found is when we went to go sell the car, we would put it out on our Gov Deals. It's a statewide auction site, and we found that worked really well. We did that with public works vehicles. We did that with the last Crown Vic, and we got what we felt was a fair price for it on that. What we were finding is a lot of the cab companies in major cities, once we put a Crown Vic out there, it was gone in a day. And they got into really competitive biddings for that style car. Now, it remains to be seen what we'll wind up with the SUV body style, but we would propose once they're ready to sell is you put them out, go through that same process. The money would then go back into the police capital budget, which we already have a separate assigned fund balance for, that we monitor those things, and we use the money to buy the equipment that goes back in the car. We had a little more cost switching from the Crown Vic to the SUVs because the equipment didn't fit in the new vehicle. We weren't able to get Crown Vics anymore. So Chief Lee made the decision to go with the SUVs that we have now. So any equipment you would reuse, but some of it will need to be replaced.
You may want to check into the state of Minnesota, their auctions, because we used to run our old squads and the investigative vehicles.
I think that's what Gov Bids is.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay. And we used to run them there, and we'd get 2-3 times what we expected because the taxi cab companies were buying them.
Right. And, those were Crown Vics, and they were rear wheel drive. These are all wheel drive. And they're a great vehicle in the wintertime. So it makes more sense to have those than it does cars here.
So, okay.
Okay, let's make
I'll move that we purchase this vehicle, 2021 Ford SUV, police inspector for the police department.
I second.
Second by Andy. Any other question, comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
I didn't see you on it, but come on up.
I just want to give you an update on the deployment. So the mission ready package from Oregon was accepted by the Governor Wall, or they accepted our package. Governor Wall signed the package on Sunday. We have a crew of 3 taking a Type 2 engine to Oregon. They're leaving tomorrow morning at 6:30, connecting in Fergus Falls with the rest of the 2 task force. The other departments that are going are Brainerd, Eden Prairie, Fisher Fire Department, Spring Lake Park Plain, Mounds View, Motley, Bemidji, basically half of Bemidji Fire Department, and Cross Lake. So
They're all going out there together?
so they all leave together, do everything together. 2 task force teams that'll be heading out. So
Motorcade heading to Oregon.
Salem, Oregon, then they'll get their direction from there. So I just want to give you an update.
Good luck to them, Kip. Thanks.
Thanks the guys for doing it.
I have two items under my report. The first one, last meeting, I was directed to come back with an additional quote for a double cab pickup rather than a crew cab. And you'll see in front of you, the crew cab, which is what we discussed at the last meeting, was $35,718.54. The double cab estimate came back $33,879.74. That's a difference of $1,838.80.
What's the other truck you have, TJ?
Short, or a long bed, excuse me. The Chevrolet 2500 06 with just about 120,000 miles.
Okay, so that's what you have, is an old 06.
Correct.
3/4 ton, I think that is.
Yep, 3/4.
That's got a plow on it.
Yes, but what I'm intending on doing is retiring that from plowing, just because it has been beat up and been plowing since 06. And things are starting to break down and we're taking it in the shop more. So we're wanting to use that more as a transportation vehicle. And like I said before, we have a transfer tank that hauls our diesel. That's going to be more of a diesel transfer vehicle than a plow truck.
Is that coming out of COVID?
Yes, that's our intent.
Did you say a club cab? I couldn't
Sorry.
understand.
So the first one was a crew cab, which is the full 4-door, and then a double cab. Double cab.
What's a double?
Extended cab.
Double cab.
It's an extended cab. Okay, it's got the short, am I right?
Yep, it's Chevrolet still has 4 doors on their double cabs, so it looks like a 4-door. It's a shortened cab. So it's a double cab rather than a single.
So I make a motion, we save the $1,800 and get the extended cab pickup.
I'll
And I can't
second
help
that.
but-
Double cab. Right, yeah. Just
Not a crew cab, though, just a.
double cab. That's what Chevrolet goes by.
All right. Okay,
I'll second that.
got a motion and a second. Any other conversation?
Yeah, I'd like to comment. Long term, I just think crew cab that can handle more people together is a better value for the city. May not be a better value this month or next month, but COVID's going to be over. And this car we're going to have for maybe 10 years or 15 as you've got the 06. So I would recommend we get the crew cab, which I think was the one that was originally suggested, just for utility purposes.
Thank you, John. Any other comments? We got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries 3-2.
Thank you. Item
Now,
B.
if I could ask a question now that we're done with the vote. I'm assuming that vehicle is going to go to auction as well, Mike?
You're planning to keep it.
The 06, we're planning to keep that as a transport vehicle. We would not get much out of that truck. It's,
But you're running it to storage and there it sits.
but the whole point of having 2 trucks was so we can have a transportation vehicle. If the new truck that you just approved, if we're up at South Bay Park mowing or we're here mowing, helping out with Public Works, we still have another vehicle to transport to Ace Hardware wherever we need to get. Because today we had to make a run down to Brainerd to bring our mower down for service, and my other maintenance employee was not able to go and pick up tools for his job. So
Am I right, TJ, you have 2 employees who could use these 2 vehicles, yes?
correct.
Right, so that having 2 vehicles means that 2 employees can use them and do different things.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll move on to item B. I just received this today, that's why it was an addition. It is in my budget this year to extend the irrigation system. So you'll see the $8,500. This will be running off of our main line just behind our softball field. It will run north of the new pickleball courts, northeast, and start irrigating our around our playground and by the southwest portion of the community center building, kind of that separate square island, so.
What, I don't have that paperwork. What's,
It was in your additions.
was it, I don't know, what's the amount of it?
$8,500. I have $10,000 approved in my budget.
We went how many years without any irrigation? Now we've got the whole thing.
It was a phased approach, and it was pretty much put in the capital outlay phases before I was hired. So I'm just following through with that.
And the money is in your budget to do this?
Correct.
Make a motion.
I'll move that we approve this budgetary expenditure of $8,500.
Okay, the motion by Herzig,
Second by Andrews.
second by Andrews. Any other conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, TJ.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, public forum. No action will be taken on any of the issues raised. If appropriate, the issue will be placed on the agenda for a future council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. Each speaker is given a 3-minute time limit. Does anybody have anything? No, looks like everybody's sitting. Brad, do you have a city attorney? We'll close the public forum, sorry. It doesn't look any good. No report, any new business?
I do.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot about it when we were talking about the closed session. Did we tape that closed session?
No.
Because you're required to tape it. I didn't notice it being taped, but in the future, maybe we should comply with the law and tape those closed sessions. And then and just another note, when we open back up, do we go back online and tell people what the summary or the decision was made and the adjournment?
I'm not sure how the Zoom part works, but how you go back after close is there's any final action taken, you need to announce an open meeting. There's not always final action taken, but you're supposed to confirm that when you go back into open. But I'm not sure how the Zoom part of it would work, but I assume that people are on hold or in a different room, or how you do that with, that part's beyond me, but how you handle the open close is easy.
Is that possible, TJ? To turn it off and then come back on, and if they want to wait, or they just come back online and watch the meeting at a later time?
I guess you could just post it and end your council meeting, or if it's after a council meeting and you have a separate Zoom meeting to start once again, so they'd have to get back on a new meeting. Yeah.
Then I have one other thing I'd like the council to consider. I know you won't take action on it tonight, but if we could possibly use, we don't have all the expenditures decided on for the COVID. I wondered how the council felt about allocating $50,000 to a business grant program for the non-essential businesses that were forced to close for 3 or 4 months in the city of Cross Lake.
I would support that, Marcia, for one. Anybody else have any comment on that?
Do we have any idea how many there are?
Yeah, I think there's been 10 or 12 people from Cross Lake that have applied for money.
10 or 12 businesses?
Businesses, yeah.
Okay.
It'd have to be an application process.
Right. Oh, yeah.
qualification.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be through the county. This would be out of our
Out of ours.
COVID, out of the city of Cross Lake's COVID funds, that 172,000.
Yeah.
I think we direct it to the county. Who are we gonna pick to give it to? Kind of.
I don't know. That's something that has to be discussed.
I think it'd be better for the
my
county
under-
to disperse it.
There'd be a lot of stuff to work out on.
So can we ask the county to earmark it? I guess that's what
Well, I
I'm
think-
looking at is, can we find out about it? If it's possible to do this, and if we can earmark 50,000, and I don't know what their criteria is for assistance, and this would be an outright grant. It's not a loan. That's my
Yeah,
my
right.
opinion. It doesn't.
I would say we should certainly look into it. There's been a lot of people that have really been impacted by this, so.
I'm cautious of handing the county any of our money because once they have it, I guess I'm concerned, how is it going to come back to us? You see what I'm saying? Once they have it, they can kind of spend it where they want it. But I'm in favor of discussion on it.
I guess
for
that's what
that.
I'm saying is
Yeah.
that I don't really care about giving it to the county
Yeah,
to disperse
yeah.
it, because can we earmark it for Cross Lake business? I want it just for Cross Lake businesses.
Cindy,
because-
being from the chamber, do you have any knowledge of this at all? I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
Yeah, no, I do. Other cities are giving money, I'm not saying giving money to the county, but they're allocating money to the county to work through the program that the county already has in process. And if I would advise you to contact Tyler Glenn of Bladec, or instruct your EDA department to work with him on that, because there already is a program in place.
There, okay.
But if you wanted to, fine tune it down to Cross Lake only, I would think that could be worked through Bladec or EDA. your
Yeah,
EDA.
I would definitely, that'd be my preference.
I would only do it if just Cross Lake businesses get it.
Yeah.
And I would look at if
Patty's
there's
got
any kind of services we could help them with as well.
Identify yourself, please.
Oh, sorry. Patty Norgard, Cross Lake. That $50,000 it's, as Cindy said, part of the county, it's administered by Bladec, okay? And it's that $50,000, if there were businesses who applied for the grant, that would be used from Cross Lake. Businesses from Cross Lake, they would be the first ones to get that $50,000. Now, let's say there were grants in Cross Lake that exceeded the 50,000, then there is a larger pool that is available because you're putting some of the money back in that CARES Act. Does that help? And also, Tyler said he would be more than happy to come out and give a little overview of the program if you'd like. Yeah.
That'd probably be very good.
Okay, I can set that up for you.
Fabulous. At the next council meeting, Patty, do you think? Yeah. Okay. So let's, Chip?
I'm just gonna give you an update on where we're at with CARES money. So we started out with $171,399. Tonight you approved the computer stuff, correct?
Yep.
For $8,500. You approved the truck for, how much was that? 30.
Just about 33.
Okay.
And we still have the antenna to pay for.
We have the antenna to pay for. That was through CARES, 14. Am I missing anything?
Yeah, the 40 of our expenses, that was 40,000 something, wasn't it?
Which one?
We've already submitted around $40,000.
Yeah, so basically, after all that said, we have a balance of around $74,000, correct? Somewhere
Right.
around there, just so you know where you're at. The fire department requested 19 sets of turnout gear to help protect us against COVID. We have the lighting systems in here, so they automatically turn on. Armor radios are in next year's budget. EOC updates, a little more EMS COVID supplies. There's some, basically just remember there's some other
And
things.
we've got a lot of people in this community that are really hurting from all this, so.
Yep.
Need to consider them too.
Yep, and we have to respond to the COVID as well, so.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Chip.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question? The question would be, if we do this, how does this impact the decision we made regarding the levy?
It won't impact it with respect to the vehicle we purchased, but if we don't buy the turnout gear, and we feel that we should, which I believe the fire chief has made a really strong case for that, then you'll need to levy for it, which everyone will pay for. The other thing that we're looking at too, while the grant program is a good thing, the levy impacts everybody, not just those apply for the grant. So that's another way to look at this also. I believe the turnout gear was $46,000.
Yeah, turnout was 46,000, but it'll be 23,000 left, and I could probably split it and I can find another grant to write. I think I have one for 10,000 from Sourcewell. I don't know if I'll get it though.
Yeah, we already got one from Sourcewell that we used to pay
Yeah,
for
there's
some of the
another one.
things. And we've got, we don't know when this is gonna end either. You know, we've still got the rest of this year to go with the salary part of the COVID program. So we don't have, it's about 20 hours a week, something like that. So there's a lot of demands on those funds, so you'll need to consider that when you make your final decision.
Okay. So I don't know whether we're gonna do a motion tonight on it, but next meeting. But Patty, if you could have Tyler come, that'd be very good. Catherine, did you have something you want to say? You started up here.
Catherine Funk, Cross Lake, White Birch Lane. So I applied for one of those grants yesterday, and I believe that the stuff that Tyler sent out was actually had to be applied for by the 18th. So he wouldn't be able to, it's already in process, like in the next few days. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So was that new business? Is that what we just did? Any old business? I have got a little bit of old business. When Gary Hecox left here, we never reappointed an acting mayor. Should we not have done that?
You should do that.
I should do that, okay. So I think I'd like to appoint Marcia as an acting mayor. Do we need a motion to do that? Okay, and make a motion to do that. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Andrews. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, good. I think that's all I have.
I move we adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.